here we are. Here's the Q&A with Phil Cheney, the writer-director of Miniature Chess, which everyone just saw. I want to tell you, your film is, I just love your film. It's when you're watching several hundred short films for a film festival, and then you come across something so original, visually, I love how it kind of walks a balance between feeling like a real raw indie, and yet at the same time the cinematography is superb, storyline acting is superb. I feel like it has a really nice balance between being like this technically on point sort of short film, and at the same time just has that super independent spirit of creative story. Reminds me of the great art house films I used to see in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I think that credit has to go to my cinematographer, Daniele Sardi, who's one of my best friends, and he's Italian, and he's been living in New York for 5 years. Oh, did I just lose you?
I got your voice, but...
Okay, we're back on. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm messing this up already. I think maybe I need to plug in my phone. Am I still here?
You are.
All right.
You're good.
Okay. Yes. So Daniele Sardi, is an Italian immigrant. I don't know if you would like to be called that, but he has a very European style and taste, and a love of art house films. And I think he, that shows. He brings something special to the film because of that, because of his background. And we just spent a lot of time in pre-production, just talking nonstop and looking at references. And I storyboard my shorts personally. I draw them out, and I take too much time almost. I go into detail. Like I'll spend 10 minutes drawing like someone's beard, which isn't really too productive, but it is kind of fun. And then when you get to shooting, you can't really say anything's a surprise because everything's there in pencil. But yeah, Daniele Sardi, great guy, and has a great eye, and great taste in color too. And he shoots fashion things too, so I think that breeds on there.
Yeah, before I ask about your location and stuff, I should probably ask you about the script itself, and when you wrote it, what if there were any inspirations behind it, or for all I know, you had that location. You said, okay, what am I going to do with this place?
Yeah, well, I found that chessboard in a drawer, and I had no memory of where it came from. So it felt mysterious, and just this idea of what would you need this for, and noticing the pieces looked similar, and some of them looked like even grains of rice. And then this idea that prisoners could be using it and stashing it, and then everything just kind of went from there. And I shot it. I'm actually at the location right now. I'm slacking off at work to do this, but it's a pleasure to do so. But we have some raw space in this warehouse in Brooklyn that feels very dungeon-like sometimes, especially when you're here at 2 a.m. loading trucks by yourself. So just knowing I had that resource, it made it easier to write the script. And I was just constantly holding this little chessboard in my hand. And it was funny using that on set because we only had that one. And I couldn't find another one online or anywhere. So, it was just very precious when we handled it, because if we lost any of the pieces, they'd be gone. And my AD actually pulled a prank on me where she says she told me that we lost a piece, and then she and the rest of the crew proceeded to watch me crawl around on the floor looking for it, even though they had it. It was funny, you know. But yeah, I mean, so besides, you know, those inspirations in the chessboard, I think a lot of it just comes from, most people feel there are major injustices going on in the world now. So I think that was just processing those feelings. And then of course, right after we finished shooting it, you know, the pandemic happened, and so we were editing it during lockdown. And then of course, you know, outcry about police brutality started happening. So it was like this weird combo of current events happening while this is being edited together. To the point where I was like, who's gonna wanna watch this really depressing movie about being locked in a space with someone when they've been going through it themselves in some way?
It is weird when your metaphor for the fascist imprisonment of people suddenly seems less metaphorical, but
well, even before that, kids in cages and being separated from their parents, and that was very moving. See on the news, and very upsetting, and still going on in some ways. So
yeah, and in fact, you know, without a narrative device to do it, there's something about the way you shot it and the way you tell the story. I think it's painfully clear that they're political prisoners.
mm-hmm. Right.
Even though it's not spoken.
Right. Well, I want to be ambiguous in a way where it would be universal, or it could happen anywhere, anytime, you know, any country. Could be the past, or the future, present. And sometimes that bothers people. Some people felt it was too ambiguous and confusing. You know, usually I don't think film should give you any answers, just keep you thinking and feeling.
I'm with you 100%. I don't even know how ambiguous I would call it, but I think it's great. And when I was listening to you talk about how you started with the discovering the chess set, your instincts to go ahead and take something that small and put it in a space that big and empty, I think is really, really smart.
Right. I mean, I think a big aspect of that is, you know, it takes two to tango, and you know, it takes two players to play the game. You know, it's really important to have other people in your life. You know, to be isolated as the character is at the end is one of the, you know, the greatest tortures you can go through. That's something I was thinking about a lot when writing it. I mean, you could start playing games by yourself, and that just spiraled down to madness from there.
Which seems like kind of happens to him, right? I mean, he actually starts eating the one thing that gives him escape.
Right. Yeah, I think that, not to give away too much.
Well, this will come after the film, so you don't have to worry.
But still, you know, I don't like to ruin people's interpretations. But I think one inspiration for that is I remember reading that Van Gogh, while he was in an asylum, he started eating his paint, and the psychologists, they interpreted it to either being a suicide attempt, or he kind of reached this infantile state of mind where he was trying to absorb the pain into his body and be one with it. So I think that kind of played a factor, because that always stuck with me. I read that when I was a teenager. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, here, I'll ask you know, if we had had the privilege of showing this at a theater instead of being locked online because of the pandemic. Um, I'm sure someone would have raised their hand and asked, how long was the shoot? How did you go about casting?
So let's see. It was 2 days. We tried to keep them 10-hour days. We didn't want it to be too grueling. We did a pre-light the night before. It wasn't, it was actually not that grueling. It was cold. All things considered, I mean, we almost had too much fun considering the subject matter. But when people are working hard, it is important to keep morale high. Then the actors I've worked with on my last film, this short called "The Owner Is In," and I just think they're great. They're great people. Someday I need to do a comedy with Nemo because he's hilarious, and I keep on making him do dramas where he's sobbing and things like that. But most of his work is more in comedy. And then so that was Tommy Schwartz and Nemo Gandhi. I'd worked with on my last short, and then Kristen Suarez I met at a festival, and she came up to me and it's like, I want to work with you. I like your film. And I think next month I sent her the script. And she's just a really hard worker and helped a lot while making the film outside of acting. So I really appreciate them and their attitudes.
And in spite of what you were saying about it, I think there is humor in it, and I think they play off each other in some really funny ways.
Right. Well, I think I think I have a dark sense of humor, just my day-to-day life, and I think it's probably the best coping mechanism you can have. And I really gravitate towards people who do the same. I don't like people who like to wallow in grief. I like the ones that can see the absurdity of any dire situation and use humor to deal with it and move forward and come stronger from it. And I think that's kind of what this is about, this film. Once again, I don't want to ruin anyone's interpretation.
Yeah, no, it would have been so cool at a festival is all the interpretations, people throwing it at each other in front of you on the sidewalk afterwards when everyone files out of the theater,
and they're all right. Everyone, no matter
them.
how they are, they're all right. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
For sure, whatever they bring to it is what they're going to see.
Mm.
Well, I was going to ask. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I already lost my train of thought. So.
Me too. But I mean, I think it's really great work. And, I grew up on, when I was young, I was really into, like David Lynch and Nicholas Roeg and
a lot
of the more abstract people that didn't feel completely committed to, the standard Hollywood fare. Yeah,
I mean, I love David Lynch's do-it-yourself attitude. I think it was for one of his early shorts, The Grandmother. He talks about how I went up to my wife and I told her we're going to paint the whole house black, all of it, all the rooms. And don't worry, I'm going to paint it back the way it was when we're done. It'll just be 1 week. And just that idea of him being so hands-on and using what he had, that's really inspiring to me. And I think in a lot of ways, he still is really hands-on. No matter how big the budget is, like you hear stories about him making furniture in Lost Highway, or like he'll build a lamp right there on the spot because they need one. He'll just make it out of some wood he found. I appreciate hearing about any type of filmmaker that's hands-on like that, and I think that reads on screen, the personality.
For sure. Well, we're actually creeping up on the end of our allotted time. So as promised, I was going to ask you if there's any contributor that you wanna mention.
Everyone in the credits. I mean, um, Kate Espada, who she also produced it. I would say, Daniele, my cinematographer, and Kate, who was the AD, they also basically produced it. I couldn't have done it without them. She's a really great filmmaker. I really respect her work ethic as a writer director. She does good horror films. She also does drama, and I can't wait to see what she's going to do next. She almost makes like 2 films a year. I don't know how she found the time to help me out, but I really appreciate it. I mean, just everyone in the credits is, it's a friend, and I paid out of pocket in this, since I couldn't pay them, so I'm paying them in favors and hugs. So I love them all, and also my boss Ivan, who's my mentor, who let me shoot here and lent me gear for free. This whole movie just happened from favors, because I'm not made of money, so to have just people who believe in the project and were so generous with their time. Every name in the credits, I love them dearly, and I think they're great people.
I think it's
And
great. I think it's. I'm really glad that it came together for you, because it's really just a great film you got to put together there. And
right.
And I got to thank you for submitting it, because I love the dramas, I love the comedies, I love all the. I love a lot of the films submitted, but I think your film's really special, and it was really. You can imagine if you're watching several hundred films over the course of a few weeks, and then when something like Miniature Chess pops in, you're just like, this is a great one. Like, it's nice. It's just really great. It's great to see, and it's great to see people being, in this era, being incredibly creative and visual, even within the indie space where there's all these limits. So
Right.
my proverbial hat is off to you for this one.
Well, thanks so much for having us, and it means a lot to us, and it's encouraging to keep working, because it can be a really cold world out there for indie filmmakers. But you can't think about the rejections. You just got to keep going, and just have, this moment, means a lot. And you kind of got to think about that more than the people who didn't like your film. So thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And
right.
Looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the rest of the films in the festival.
Yeah, you're really going to like some. I'll name some for you after I stop recording.
Okay, great.
All right. Thanks.
Let's see.